Welcome people of YouTube to my Q&A. Thank you for sending in all your questions, so let's get started. How can you be geeky and cute at the same time? I don't know, but if you find out, can you send me a message or something, because I'd like to know the answer to that as well. Yeah. Who is your favourite classic companion? I'm stuck between two, maybe three. Two. I can narrow it down to two. Which is Leela and Ace. And in some ways they're very similar because they're not pets. They don't need to be looked after by the doctor. They're literally just a mate. They tag along and just enjoy the ride. And Leela kills a load of people in her first story just because they're in the way, which is bad. It's naughty, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. She did it all while wearing a leotard. I mean, that's quite difficult, you know. So that's why I like Leela. And I met Louise Jameson. She's really nice. So I'm sort of biased because she was really lovely to me when I met her and I got really excited. But yeah, so I love Leela and I love Ace. And Ace is just, she's really cool. And she beats up a Dalek with a baseball bat. And it's like, are you calling Snow? Which I like. Because we all know what it's like to be patronised. Especially when you're in school. People think you're young, you're stupid. You are young. But not that young, not that young. But you're not stupid and you are more mature than people believe. And you can handle yourself more than people believe, but because you're still in school, people are worried about you, people want to look after you more. And that line, who you calling small, you could tell Ace was just waiting to beat up something with a baseball bat because they called her small or young or pathetic or all of the above. I didn't mean to say that, I meant above. Oh. Yeah. Messed that up, didn't I? Can you describe your mind palace? I can try. I always wanted a mind palace because Darren Brown mentioned it in one of his books that he has one. And he can remember like the history of art by picturing Piccadilly Circus. And each part of Piccadilly Circus is a fact or a painting or something to do with the history of art, which really intrigued me as a kid, and I really wanted one. But mine is more like an apple bobbing stand at a fairground. It's full of things floating up in there and you sort of dive in and hope for it's an apple, but it's not always an apple. So that's pretty much mine. Nothing on the sense of Sherlock or the Doctor or Darren Brown. I mean, I sort of just confused myself by answering that question, but I'm sure I'll figure it out when I'm trying to sleep. Yeah. Next question. If you were an egg, would you prefer to be boiled, scrambled, fried, or none of the above? I'd like to be separated from my yolk, mixed with sugar and made into a beautiful meringue. But that's just me. What happened in Forest of the Night? There's a hair like on my face. What is it about Doctor Who that you think has made it survive for 52 and a bit years? Loads of stuff. The fact that there's so much variety, not just with the storylines but with the actor playing the Doctor, to have a character that changes so much, not just character development but completely new turnover every few years, it is interesting because you're not stuck with one type of story. You can have someone that's the sweetest person ever, the sweetest Doctor, and have all stories about how he makes peace and everything like that. And then you can have a regeneration and it just turns into chaos and you have this horrible doctor, or you have a really mean doctor or something like that. So you can do so much with this show, and I think that's why you have so many writers coming to write for it, because they can do whatever they like pretty much, because it's still, even though it's been going for 50 odd years, there's still so much room to experiment, which we have seen in the last few years, which is really good. And I think the show needed it just to revamp it a little bit. And I'm getting excited over this question. So basically what it boils down to for me is the variety, the things it teaches children and adults. It's not just for children anymore, even though it used to be. Now it's like a family show, and even though there are a few darker parts that children maybe would be scared, some people may be offended about, but you can't just stick to the comfort zone, because that's going to wear out and wear out until it's gone. And that is why it's lasted so long, because it does push boundaries from time to time. Not too much so it's been cancelled again, but just enough to keep people on their toes. And even if you have sort of fizzled out as a fan, you'll still be a little bit intrigued just to see who the new actor playing the Doctor is after each couple of years, because you were a fan of the show once if you're not now, and this new Doctor could remind you of a Doctor you once loved. So you may have a Doctor you don't like and go off the show, because I mean that happens, even to big fans it happens. But then a few years later you may be like, oh, maybe I'll try this new Doctor out, and you do, and then you fall in love and it brings it all back again. So the fact that it's been going so long is partly the change, which also brings back nostalgia. So it's sort of, it's like a paradox. So you've got the change, but it also stops the change, because it changes so much that it stops it changing so much, so that it brings it back from the past, the ones that you loved, and it's also in the future. What was the first Doctor Who story you ever watched? Well, when I was 7, my mum came up to me and was like, oh, Liv, come watch this show with me. I used to watch it when I was small. And so took him her, I was like, okay, Mum. And so I went and sat down and I watched it, and it was Tom Baker, Pyramids of Mars. That was my first one. But luckily, the channel we watched it on just looped Doctor Who all the time. So I eventually got to see a bit of each Doctor. And so I didn't start at the beginning, I didn't start with William Hartnell, I started with Tom, so it went on from Tom and then looped back round. So I saw Tom and then Peter and then Colin and Sylvester, and then I didn't see Paul McGann the first time round. It went back to William Hartnell and then Patrick Troughton and then John Pertwee, and then it looped back, and then the second loop was when I saw Paul McGann, and then it was sort of complete. And then a few years later the new Who came out, so I that's how I started watching Doctor Who, and that was my first episode. I kind of went off on a tangent on that question, but yeah, so Pyramids of Mars was my first episode. Thank you very much. Also, PS, that's how I met John, and how I joined FiveWhoFans, because when I was at college, me and my friend Sophie were talking about Pyramids of Mars, just because we were, and John was on the other side of the room, because we were drawing a naked lady, because you do that at art university, you draw naked people, and his head snapped up like a meerkat, and just like, so, and we hadn't really spoken to John before, like, just because we'd never really spoke, and then he just mouthed, he went, and then he picked up his easel, which weighed a ton, they were big wood and metal easels, and dragged it across the classroom, and it was quite small and cramped, and then this naked lady was just like, and then John like dragged it over and then started talking to us about Doctor Who, and so that's how I met John and how we became really good friends, and then eventually I joined FiveWhoFans. So yeah, a little bit of history there for you. Next question. Have you watched Channel 4's The Aliens? If so, what are your thoughts? I haven't, actually. I'm not a very good telly watcher. I don't watch a lot of telly. I only watch things I plan to see, so I know when Doctor Who's back on, so I watch Doctor Who because I know it's set time, and I'll watch Sherlock when it's on, and I'll watch Darren Brown when he's got a special on, and so I plan to watch things. But if it's good, please write in the comment and I'll check it out, because I love stuff that I love. Yeah. Eyebrow aerobic tips. You just gotta exercise it, practice, like, you know, like try and wiggle them, you know, from time to time, you know, when you're bored, just set them off, you know. It's all about muscle and practice, really, like you know, when you stretch and you can eventually touch your toes, or you can eventually you know, just stretch further and stuff like that. It's all about that, really. So I never used to be able to do this, but then I watched School of Rock and I saw Jack Black go like that, and I was like, I want to learn to do that, because he was a big idol of mine when I was 10. So yeah, and just go from there, really. Although I warn you, it is a gift and a curse. Once you learn to do that, you'll talk and your face will just go like that all the time and be rather expressive. So it's up to you. It's like opening your third eye. I mean, do you really want to do that? Because I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, so follow that, my inspirational tips to exercising your eyebrows, and you too will be able to do this. Favourite New Who story? It changes. It always changes. And it depends what mood I'm in. At the moment, I'd probably 3 have popped into my head, but I know I'll think of more if I think about it. So the 3 that popped into my head automatically are Midnight, Heaven Sent, which is very new, and Blink. Those 3 have popped into my head straight away, because I think the 3 contributing factors to those 3 are suspense. I like suspense. I really like suspense. I mean, I like action and stuff like that, don't get me wrong, but I like feeling on edge. And horror films don't do that to me. I've yet to find a horror film that has scared me, and if people jump out at me, it doesn't make me jump. And if I hear a noise, I'll go look, and if it's a ghost, then I just go, oh, yeah, right. Ghosts don't scare me. So suspense is sort of as close to the edge of my seat as I can get. So I really like suspense. So those 3 are the ones that popped into my head just from looking at this, because I'm reading these live, by the way. I haven't actually opened any of the questions until this point, so those are the 3 that popped into my head, but I'm sure there's many more that I could say. Describe the perfect Doctor Who episode. Right, so this ties into my favourite New Who story. It will have suspense, it will have action, it will have puns, it won't have any romance or soppy bits. People will die, but will want them to die. No one will come back to life at all. I'm very cynical, I know, and I'm still listing this even though this isn't a list, and that's what I want in an episode. With Peter Capaldi. It's funny because I consider myself to be quite a happy person. Like, I like to make people happy, like I like to make people smile if they're sad. But when it comes to reading books or watching television, I really love angst, suspense, and just like death. I really like stuff like that, because I don't know, maybe I'm secretly a psychopath. Maybe I am, because I don't yawn when other people yawn, and apparently that's a sign that you don't show empathy. So like a psychopath or a sociopath, I'm not sure which one. Oh, that answers that. Yeah. What is your favourite Doctor Who story? I'm going to go ahead and say Time Lash, because you know what? It's misunderstood. It's misunderstood and people may not like it. I may or may not be one of them, but it is my favourite because they tried. They tried. Mind Rob is pretty good as well. If you had to go to Alton Towers with a Doctor Who monster, which one would it be? Ooh, I'd like to take a Zygon so that they could transform into the person that's in charge of taking the pictures on the rides, so that they double take at the picture and then question their entire existence. That would be something I'd like to do. However, I think I would have to take Drashig because I think he'd be devastated if I didn't take him and had an opportunity to go to Alton Towers. I don't think he'd ever forgive me, and he'd get Billy to send me sad letters with tear stains on them. So although it would be fun to take a Zygon, I'd say it would be even more fun to take Drashig because it's Drashig! What do you think of the name? I'm dyslexic, so bear with me. I'm going to say that's Juan. Juan. I mean, any name that's a number, I'd say go for. Go for. For. It's also a number. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, any name that makes you go is pretty good. So if you want to name your children that, or change your name to that, even though your name's perfectly lovely, I'd say be careful, because that name does sound like it would come with power. But if you can handle that, like Spider-Man, then I'd say go for it. And your number Juan. Thoughts on Big Finish? I love audios. I really think audio dramas, audio comedy, everything, it's such a clever way of portraying something, because when you write a book you can describe how something looks in the narration. So you can say, oh, the cat was purple and sicked up a peach. I don't know why that would be in a book, but you can say something along those lines, so you've got that image in your head. However, with an audio, unless you have a narrator in the audio, you have to portray that by someone's speech, so like an offhand comment, the sound effects, or even just a hint, so that the listener can use their imagination. So in a sense you use your imagination more when you're listening to an audio than you do reading a book, in some ways. So I think bringing Doctor Who into that universe of audio is such a good idea, because you can't portray everything with special effects. Sometimes your imagination is better. In fact, I think most of the time your imagination is better, it's stronger, it doesn't waver. So I think Big Finish is a really good idea, and the ones I've listened to, I haven't listened to that many, but the ones I've listened to I do enjoy. And if you can actually recommend any in the comments, I'd love to know your favourites, because then I'll have a listen, because I do nag Billy a lot when we're in Spin Planet. Like, Billy, which ones are good, so I can listen to them. And he does oblige. Thank you very much, Billy. But yeah, I'd love to hear your opinions on some and to listen to some more. So, do you read Doctor Who comics? If you do you have a favourite one? I haven't really, actually. I've read Doctor Who books and I read Doctor Who magazine, but I haven't actually read that many comics. I've read a couple which I've picked up or someone's bought me because they think I like it, and I've got the one with Crystal animated in it, which she signed for me like a million times, which was amazing. But yeah, again, like Big Finish, if you can suggest any that I could read, and that's great, because I don't really use my free time wisely, so I should really. But yeah, so audios and comics I'd really like to get into. I made it my mission to watch as many classic Who's as I could that I never saw as a kid, but I'd like to get onto the other forms of Doctor Who as well. So I've read a few books, but I'd like to read some comics and listen to some audio. So please comment with your favourites, and I shall read or listen to them and reply back to you with my thoughts. What is your favourite story from each of the new series? Dynamite. I'll do the last 3 series because my memory is terrible for episode names. So I'm gonna say Heaven Sent, which I absolutely adored, like amazing. I loved Heaven Sent. Mummy on the Orient Express. Again, like really good. I really liked that one. And Crimson Horror, because the villain actually stayed a villain until the end, which I like. I don't like it when they have a change of heart or turn out good or suck up or whatever. So I liked that one. But yes, thank you for the question. Favourite flavour of Jelly Baby? If Tom Baker offered me a Jelly Baby, I wouldn't care what the flavour was. But if I had to choose, I'd say orange, because I could maybe lie and pretend there's some vitamin C in there somewhere. Yeah. If Drashig were to kidnap you and put you in a dark room, what would you do? How would you react? And would you call up Billy? So the first thing I'd do is probably search for the phone in the dark room because it's dark. My reaction would be, it's dark, where's the phone? And I'd probably call Billy. I call Billy anyway, and just be like, yeah, what's up Billy? Drashig and me are playing hide and seek. And then I'd sort of gauge Billy's reaction. So if he sounded worried, then I'd try and get out of there. If Billy's more like, oh that's cool, like we do that all the time, then I'd be more at ease and me and Drashig would just have a laugh and probably watch a few episodes. What do you think of Eccleston, brackets the best? Well, I agree with you there. He's definitely one of the best, absolutely fantastic. And I don't think any of the other new doctors should have been the first one other than him. So it's sort of hard to explain. Like, I absolutely adore Peter Capaldi, absolutely adore him. I'm glad we've got him now. Whereas Christopher Eccleston, I think we needed him to bring it back overall. They were only going to make one series of Doctor Who when they brought it back. And with Christopher's performance, people fell in love with it so much that they had to make more and more. And I absolutely fell in love with Christopher's performance. And he was, in a way, the strongest of the new Doctors, I believe. Just, it was second nature to him, this role. It was absolutely easy for him to do. You could just see it. It was just made for him. And so I absolutely love Chris Eccleston, absolutely love him, cannot fault him in any way, and I love him forever. So that is my answer to that, and I'm getting really excited just talking about him because I don't think we speak about him enough. I know we all know that he's Billy's favourite, but I don't think the rest of us give him credit on camera enough, but we all love him, and yes, I get really excited talking about Chris Eccleston, so yes, he is the best. Would you rather fight 20 duck-sized elephants or 1 elephant-sized duck? I would say the duck-sized elephants, because I could just stand on a chair if they scare me too much. I wouldn't like to fight either of them, because I mean I can't even kill spiders. I can't hurt animals. I'm really wussy because I get really sad when animals are hurt. So I don't think I could fight them, but I would definitely, if I had to, rather fight the little ones than the big ones, because an elephant-sized duck, ooh, that would be terrifying. Like, think how sharp, like how big that beak would be. Yeah, no, yeah, so the little ones, definitely, 100% little ones. Yes. I'd rather keep them as pets though, if that is an option. thank you so much for sending in your questions. They were really, really good questions. I didn't look at any of them until I made this video, so that's probably why I couldn't think of many things on top of my head, so I'm sorry if the answers weren't what you expected. Please comment below with anything you can suggest, audios, comic books you think I might like, your review of Aliens on Channel 4, anything like that. I'd love to hear from you and hear your opinions on stuff like that. So thank you so much for your comments and for your questions. So I'm gonna just eat this rhubarb custard now because I've been holding it for a while and I really wanted to eat it. So I hope you enjoyed my Q&A and keep being you, guys. Keep being you. I think I just broke a tooth. Okay.
That's not how it works.
You don't know what it's like, do ya? Losing your mum in a cheese wheel accident? You probably ain't even got a mum. You probably hatched from an egg or something. You don't know what it's like.